And we are live. What's good, y'all? It's your man, DL Saint. Welcome. Really want to know podcast, man. Whew, lit Saint episode. It's a lit Saint episode for sure. I'm just getting in the house. I was out and about. I was actually out kicking it with family. I got a chance to go out, watch a little bit of March Madness with my cousin. You know, my cousin and I are so tight, man. We're more like brothers. We've been like that our whole life. Um, and you know, it's always amazing to be able to go out and just be with family and just go out, kick it, do whatever, grab a drink, you know, have some appetizers, whatever it is you're gonna do, or just sit in the living room and just talk. You know, if people say I'm successful, if there are people out there like, hey, what's the secret to your success? I would have to say, you know, it's my family, and more to the point, it's my cousin. He knows who he is. It's like it's my cousin. Like it's just the two of us have always been there. He's always supported me, right, wrong, or indifferent. It didn't matter. He always supported me, even when I was like, bro, trust me, I've done a lot of shit out there. I've done some bad stuff. Even when I was doing bad stuff, he still supported me. Like, yo, you wrong, but I got you. And that's where I got it from. You know what I mean? It's you know, it is what it is. Y'all know Jay Swans. He's always here. Same thing. Jay Swans. We're not blood, but that's my brother. It's like, man, I don't care. Even if you're wrong, I'm with you. I mean, to an extent, of course, can't be out there doing like crazy nonsense, but it's like, yo, I'm with you. So I was with my cousin tonight. Same thing for my brother. You know what I mean? Shout out to my brother. Same thing for my brother. You know what I mean? Even if I'm wrong. And that's how I am with my family. Like, bro, even if you're wrong, I'm with you. Even if this means we got to fight our way out of here, I'm with you. Even if this means we're going to get, you know what I mean, beat up, shot up, cut up, it don't matter. I'm with you. It is what it is. We'll work it out later. So I was with my cousin tonight. We were out having a good time, chopping it up, watching the game, talking about politics, talking about a bunch of stuff. And I told my cousin, like, well, you know, he's always talking to me about the podcast. He didn't say nothing for a long time. He's like, look, bro, told me where he was on the podcast, told me how, you know, like, this is what I think. And he knows me. He's like, bro, I already know you're going to do what you're going to do. But I will say this. I do listen to my family. I do listen to those people who are closest to me, my blood, and like people like, you know, people who are closest to me. You ain't got to be born into my family for me to listen to you and be close to me, right? So like my man Jay Swans tells me stuff, and I listen. So I'm like, all right, I hear you. So I'm gonna, you know, finish up the stuff that I already had planned. Like, you know, this episode, probably a follow-up episode, because we're not gonna be able to get through this whole thing in one session. And then I'm gonna switch stuff up a little bit because, you know, when you look at YouTube, man, YouTube is, I mean, it's business, bro. And I'm like everybody else, man. I'm trying to make a couple dollars. I don't have to make $50,000 a month, but I do have financial goals that I would like to reach on YouTube. I am certain that YouTube restricts my content. I really believe that YouTube doesn't like certain type of content out there, and they will drag it down as much as they can. It is what it is. YouTube wants certain stuff, so I'm gonna explore and see if I can find the stuff that YouTube wants. I think the air traffic control videos that we do would be cool. And I want to start doing some history videos, talking about military, talking about, you know, like American history, American military history, with an emphasis on African Americans. I'm going to start working on that as well. And I think that once a human sees that, okay, I'm not doing the quote unquote red pill stuff, I'm not doing that, I think YouTube will allow the algorithm to push this content organically. I really believe that, you know, YouTube controls what it wants to control. You know, you look at whatever podcast, Fresh Fit podcast, Coach Greg Adams, you look at the numbers that they're doing, I think YouTube restricts that. I think they do even bigger numbers than that. And the reason I believe it is when they restricted Joe Rogan. When Joe Rogan interviewed Donald Trump, you couldn't find that interview on YouTube. Like, come on, man. Joe Rogan, the biggest podcaster at that time, the biggest podcaster on the planet, right now, still one of the biggest on the planet, talking to the most controversial dude on the planet and you couldn't find the video. Once I saw that, I'm like, if they can restrict Joe Rogan, they would, bro. Some dude with 2,000 subscribers. I mean, come on. Who? Of course they're going to restrict my content. So I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to switch it up a little bit and talk about some interesting stuff. We're going to keep talking about air traffic control stuff. We're going to talk about some historical stuff. I mean, like, you know, taking my cue from the Fat Electrician. If you guys haven't seen the Fat Electrician, go check out his content. If you got any questions about the military, any branch, and how the military works, and you know, like stuff America has done militarily throughout the years, go check out the Fat Electrician. He has some great content over there. I'm going to go that route. Do some historical stuff, and then we're going to do the air traffic control stuff to kind of break down what's going on in ATC like we did earlier today. And I'm going to come away from the quote-unquote red pill stuff, the relationship stuff, a little bit. I think I will maybe, for every red pill video you see out there, if I do one red pill video, I'm going to try to do like 10 or 15 other videos, right? So just so you know, that's what we're going to be doing. Tonight, we're going to be talking about, this is one of the last red pill videos I'm going to be doing here in a while. We're going to be talking about James Sexton. We're going to be watching his interview on Flagrant with Andrew Schultz and his guys, talking about prenups and how the marriage, like marital law works, family law works, and all that kind of stuff. So let's get into it. And we are live. What's good, y'all? Welcome to the I Really Want to Know podcast, y'all. Get some indeed, man. So I mean, I'm really on top of what's out there on YouTube. I'm really on top of what's out there, what YouTube is pushing and stuff like that, bro. And I'm not mad at YouTube. YouTube has a platform, and if they want to control the type of content that they want to promote, I ain't mad at them. I just wish that they would be a little more honest with it. Be honest with you. I think that they should just tell you. They just send you a message like we don't like this type of content. Maybe try this, or this. I mean, but the way that they're doing it now, I just think it's BS. And then when you call them on it, they'll deny it. And it is what it is. YouTube, if you're watching this, I'm not mad at y'all. I see what you're doing. Hey, man, message received. I'm going to switch up my content a little bit. All right. So hopefully a human will watch this and they'll see that, oh, he's really changing it up. And when I got that copyright strike, which is absolutely BS, right? You have a content creator who says this, sends out a copyright strike, and YouTube upholds it, even though I put in the information and I sent them like, hey, man, this is what's going on. Here's my side of it. I'm sending them the information. They're completely disregarding it. When I saw that, I'm like, okay, YouTube was looking for reasons to get rid of the deal saying I Really Want to Know podcast. They're just looking for reasons for that. And for them to do what they did to allow that to happen, it's just like, it is what it is. Okay, cool. I see what you're doing. And for anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, go back and watch I Got a Copyright Strike, that episode. I forget what episode it is. I got a copyright strike. Maddie Reactions gave me a copyright strike for doing exactly what she's doing. She was reacting to Bill Burr and giving commentary, and I was reacting to her and giving commentary to what she was saying to Bill Burr. Bill Burr was talking about gold digging women or whatever. Maddie Reactions was putting out information that was absolutely false, and she realized that she made a mistake, and she wanted my video gone because the vast majority of her followers, her supporters, were men. Not just any old kind of dude, like invisible men. And we talk about it all the time. So Maddie Reaction was out there, and she realized I messed up. She was saying all this stuff. The dudes were in the chat kind of going crazy. She probably saw that she was losing some subscribers. Dudes were like, oh, man, I thought you were different type stuff, which is what the invisible guys do. And then she realized, like, oh, I'm screwing up. And she wanted to clean it all up. And she realized someone already reacted to her video. So she wanted to get rid of my video. And instead of just reaching out to me and saying, hey, can you remove that video? She went to YouTube and claimed copyright, which is absolutely BS. And YouTube did what they did. And that's, it is what it is. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not taking your copyright school. I'm going to take the strike. I'm going to take the strike, and I'm going to continue to fight this thing. Like, behind the scenes, hopefully we can grow this platform. Once we get significant amount of supporters, then the platform grows, then YouTube will listen to me. Because this is business at the end of the day. Maddie Reaction was coming up on 100,000 subscribers. She did it pretty quick. I Really Want to Know podcast, 2,100 subscribers. And they're like, you know what? We don't like his content anyway, so let's beat him up. So that's one of the things, I would love to sit down with someone from YouTube and be like, why are y'all doing that? Just to get, you know what? They're going to dance around it like a politician. They're going to say, no, that's not what we do. And we know it's all whatever, man. It's bullshit. So that's it. That's all I'm going to say about that. That's all I'm going to say about that for now. For now. You guys know I network. I'm a networking machine. It's just a matter of time before I come across YouTube and their executives, and I'll be able to talk to them. And there's going to be two conversations. There's going to be the conversation on camera, and there's going to be conversation off camera. And here's the thing. And when they tell me the truth, I'm not going to even try to throw them under the bus. I'm just like, just do me a favor, get me off of the naughty list, and just let my content go. Let's see if it grows for real. Just push it like you would push anybody else. Push it like you would push Maddie Reaction. And we'll go from that. So we're going to continue. Let's talk about James Sexton. Who is James Sexton in Flagrant? Andrew Schultz and his homeboys. So James Sexton is like a divorce attorney, family law attorney. He's out of New York. And he has made a ton of money in family court. I don't know how much. I'm not even going to look at his net worth, because when you Google someone's net worth, it's all off. It's either too much or not enough. It's crazy. But I'm pretty sure that he's comfortable with the living, the money he's made off of family law. And his thing is, what he's trying to do right now, right? What James Sexton is trying to do is a push for people who are deciding to get married in America to do prenups and decide how that relationship or that merger will end, as opposed to allowing the government to decide. And man, he's getting so much pushback. Now, here's the thing. You have the red pill, you have the manosphere, and then you have the MRAs, the men's rights activists, have been talking about this very topic forever. The MRAs have been talking about this forever. That led to a movie called The Red Pill, which is a great movie. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. I'll see if I can find a free version of The Red Pill and put it in the description below so you guys can check it out. Hopefully I can remember to do that, because y'all know I've been drinking a little bit. I'm a little tipsy. You know what I'm saying? We got a little, lit saint going on right now. Then we have the manosphere, which was, just guys coming together, comparing notes and trying to figure out how basically to meet women and talk to women. These guys were trying to, let's keep it 100, they're trying to procreate. They're trying to find a woman that could start a family, do all this, which led to the red pill movement, which is the most recent version of all this. And this is what you see now with Fresh and Fit, whatever podcast, Coach Greg Adams, Rollo Tomasi, Rich Cooper. I mean, you have all these different people out here, just guys trying to school other guys on how the game works, people like me. And it's continuing to change, right? So you're going to continue to have this change moving forward. And the red pill is more of this like drill sergeant coaching, is hardcore, quit being stupid and da-da-da, these women ain't no good. And blah, blah, blah. So you got that. And it's beginning to morph into, hey, man, just look at the numbers. Hey, man, this is what women are looking for. If you don't possess these characteristics, it's going to be really hard for you to find yourself a woman, let alone the type of woman you're looking for or whatever. Hey, man, there's no such thing as the girl next door. All women want the best dude that they can get, and all women understand the game, and they're going to run their game accordingly. You need to get up on that. So that's where it is now. So you have people, instead of having people like Byron Gaines, you're going to have people like James Sexton. And James Sexton is coming at it from, like a professional standpoint. Like, bro, I'm I'm in the family law business. That's what James Sexton is telling you. I'm letting you know what I'm seeing here. If you want to get married in America, fine. Get married. Just understand what you're signing up for. That's his whole thing. Understand what you're signing up for. Go out here, get yourself a prenuptial agreement. Wow. Well, why would I do that? We're going to be together forever. Maybe, but more than 56% of marriages end in divorce in America. Just saying, if I was to bet on your marriage, I'm going to bet that it's going to fail. And the 56% doesn't account for the 22% or so, or 25% or so of people who stay married that don't get divorced, but it's a loveless situation. They don't live together or whatever. So when you look at that, you're looking at close to 70, 75%, maybe even 80% failure rate with this particular product was his marriage. And if 80% failure rate, right, you mean to tell me that you're going to be in that 20% of people who are going to be successful? Probably not. So James Sexton is telling people, well, how about you just go get yourself a prenup? How about you and your significant other sit down and talk about it while you're still in love? Hey, if by some crazy circumstances doesn't work, right? Even though we know 56% of the time is going to end in divorce, 70 to 80% of divorces are filed by women, right? So let's talk about how we're going to split up our assets. How are we going to do this, right? Let's just talk about that. And if you're dealing with a person who doesn't want to have that conversation anymore, maybe you don't want to enter into this agreement, right? Because at the end of the day, marriage has nothing to do with love. Marriage is a business decision. It is a merger. And this is the message that James Sexton is trying to get out to the masses. And I think he's doing a good job. First time I came across James Sexton was the soft white underbelly, and then I've seen him everywhere since. I really like his message. I really appreciate what he's doing, right? And he could be just making more money as an attorney. This is a guy's like, I'm not even trying to make the money. So here recently, he was on Flagrant, Andrew Schultz's podcast with Andrew Schultz's friends. So Andrew Schultz he's the talent. He's the guy. And then he has his homeboys on that, on there. So Andrew Schultz is a, American stand-up comedian, very successful. He's done Madison Square Gardens at least once, maybe more. He's had a very successful run. He's doing his thing, and he's been loyal to his homeboys. He's got a handful of homeboys. He's like with him from the beginning. He's still rocking with him, trying to help him out. I'm just going to keep it 100. If it weren't for Andrew Schultz, his dudes like Akash and the other dudes, I can't even remember their names, wouldn't be nearly as successful as they are now. I'm just keeping it 100. That's not a hit on Akash. That's not a hit on the other guys. It's just keeping it real. I'm a comedian. Right? I see what's going on out there. Like, bro, it is what it is. So Schultz is real loyal to his homeboys. They got this podcast. He does other podcasts as well, and he's doing his own thing. So these guys are, they're tied to Andrew Schultz. If Andrew Schultz were to fall off tomorrow, those dudes they'll fall off as well, right? So it is what it is. They get James Sexton on a podcast, and James Sexton is talking about the legal side of marriage. It was a great conversation, guys. It's linked in the description below. You guys should check it out. It's linked in the description. Make sure you check it out. It's 1 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast, so most of my people are asleep. It's a Saturday going into Sunday. I get it. So we're probably not going to have a lot of people in the chat tonight, but that's fine. Please, team replay, please watch this, share this, send this to people, right? So we're going to watch this interview. All right, let's pull it up. Let's pull this interview up. So we're going to watch this from the very beginning, from the trailer, and then we're going to watch the entire thing. Like I said, we probably won't get through the whole thing. We are not going to get through the whole thing in one sitting. This is over 2 hours and 40 minutes, but we're going to try to get through hopefully half of this, if not a third of this. And then we'll just, we'll do a follow-up video later down the road. Maybe do a follow-up video on Monday, and then do another follow-up video on Thursday, just so we can get through it. So it might be 2 parts, it might be 3, whatever. But Americans need to understand how marriage works in this country. You need to understand what you're signing up for, and the vast majority of Americans have no idea what they're signing up for. They just don't. They're so in love. They're in the Disney fairy tale thing, and they just don't get it. right? They just don't get it. You know, I talk to women all the time in the trenches out here, and women ask me like, well, how come you've never been married? Don't you want to be married? Like, no, I don't. I don't want to be legally married in America. I don't. Do I want to have a woman that I love and she loves me and like it's crazy fun and we do all that stuff and all that? Yeah, I want to do that. Share our lives and do all that? Yeah, I want to do that. Do I want to sign a contract that is going to benefit the person who has less? Do I want to sign a contract that's going to hold probably my feet to the fire because I'm the person who has more as opposed to the other person? No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to find myself in a situation where the state can change the terms of my agreement without my permission or knowledge at any time. No, I don't want to do that. That's just a bad deal. Who signs up for that? And that's what this particular interview is going to be talking about, man. I mean, and James Sexton does a great job of breaking it down, even to the point where Andrew Schultz, Akash, and the other guys are sitting there thinking like, wow, this dude is right. Too late for Andrew Schultz and Akash because they just got married. No prenup, no nothing. Like, you just got married, all this money, doing all this great things. If she decides to divorce you, she's going to walk away with half, at least half. She's going to walk away with half, and you're going to have to pay for all of the legal expenses. So, and that's before kids are getting involved. You need to add kids to it. Oh, my God. Alimony, child support, legal expenses. For somebody who's wealthy, you're going to be paying like 2/3. Like 2/3 of your net wealth gone. So let's check this out, man. And again, I appreciate you guys. If you're out here watching me, I already know YouTube is not pushing this content. It is what it is. But hopefully people will check this out. So here we go. Let's get into it.
Why is it rude to say to someone, you guys are getting along, you're in love, you're having fun? Why do you want to get the government involved? What most people call love today was something that was invented in the 50s to sell shampoo. Wow. All three of you have a prenup. The government wrote it. You think that's a good idea? Wow. You ever been to the DMV? Yeah. You ever walk into the DMV and go, these people should be in charge of everything?
Well, you are pro-marriage, you're just anti-marriage without a prenup.
People want to do dumb shit. People jump out of planes. Like, I don't care. Yeah. You want to do some dumb shit? Do some dumb shit. Yeah. Just admit you're doing some dumb shit.
What is your craziest divorce that you
I shouldn't say this in public, but I will. Her husband ran her over 3 times and stabbed her 16 times.
Who's the worst in divorce? Culturally, ethnically, racially?
So, look, sometimes stereotypes are a real time saver. Let's just call that out. Like Russian women, in my experience professionally, they get ice cold. When you're married to a Russian woman, there's nothing she won't do for you. And when you're divorcing a Russian woman, there is nothing she won't do to you. Like, she will your shit right up.
Is there anything that you've learned through all these divorces about what makes marriages successful?
I've learned a lot by being a divorce lawyer about what keeps people together. What I've learned, I would say more than anything else, is just pay attention. People get divorced the same way they go bankrupt. Very slowly and then all at once.
What's up, everybody?
Bro, that's one hell of a trailer, man. Shout out to them for making that. Don DeMarco. One hell of a trailer. Boy, if that doesn't suck you into what's about to happen, man, nothing will. You can't argue with this guy. James Sexton has been in this business for so long. He's made so much money. You can't argue with the dude. He's just giving you hey, man, this is what I seen. This is how it works. Do what you want to do. Like you said, if you want to do something stupid, go ahead and do something stupid. Just understand that's what you're doing right there. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. You want to do something stupid? Go ahead. Go ahead and do something stupid. All right, and that's what I tell these guys, man. If you want to go out here and do this, man, go out there and do this. But don't come crying about it later. Don't say you didn't know. There's people out there like James Sexton and others who are telling you, bro, you need to do this. This is how this particular game is played. Let's continue.
Hey, welcome to Flagrant. And today's guest, I just want to point out, was not suggested by any of the people that were sitting here. Okay? They're all happily married or in great relationships, and none of us would suggest such a guest. Okay? A prolific guest, mind you. Okay, we got Jim Sexton here. The world's most murderous divorce attorney.
Wow. That's going on the website. All right, that was
I think he likes that.
divorce attorney, Andrew Schultz of Netflix fame.
Yeah.
Wow,
No.
that's really,
Obviously, you're incredibly successful. We've seen a bunch of the content that you've put up out on the internet, like mostly interviews that you've done. It's kind of interesting because you've been this divorce attorney for decades, and now you have like a public profile about your job.
So bizarre.
Yes.
So bizarre. I can't actually stand still anywhere in New York City
because people know you.
Someone coming up going, you're that divorce lawyer, you know?
Wow.
The problem is when you do, like if you're going to be known for a viral clip, don't be wearing the same outfit you wear every fucking
That's
day.
a
like
good fucking
Batman.
point. I didn't even think
Because
about
there's
that.
no way to it's like your mustache. Like, you can't hide. Like if you shave that shit, you could probably get away with it for a few days. Yeah, you could blend right in. But
maybe that's what I'm planning.
Without that, that's what you got to do.
When I
you want
need
to
to
take
get
a
out.
week or two off and just get that right out. That's free advice. Free
Are
right
you
there.
the new Salino and Barnes for us New Yorkers?
Wow.
Wow.
Am I could be both Salino and Barnes.
Of course.
Man, that's a high.
They had a bad breakup. Did you work on that divorce?
Get out of myself. Yeah. You know,
That's a deep cut New York reference. I just want to let you know.
is,
These
yeah.
were like iconic New York lawyers, and it was like one of the first like call lines for law advice, right?
Yeah.
Like 1-800-888-8888.
Yeah.
Did that exist?
Salino
That would
and
have the
Barnes.
most brutal-
Injury attorneys.
Oh, yeah.
1-800-888-8888. It was a
All right, so they're going deep in the woods on New York stuff. That's what they do on Flagrant. This is just the beginning. They're just talking, chopping it up. What you need to pay attention to is how James Sexton is able to control Andrew Schultz and his team. Mostly Andrew Schultz. Andrew Schultz, his whole brand, the way he interviews is very unique to him. Like this dude interrupts constantly. Like it is so hard to watch Andrew Schultz interview someone. It's great to watch him being interviewed, but it's really frustrating to watch him interview somebody because he stops and he asks these weird random questions. He goes off on tangents, but James Sexton is on his message 100%. This is a guy who's an attorney and he knows how to argue and he knows how to do his thing. He's a professional. Andrew Schultz couldn't shake him. He couldn't shake him. And if you want to see how people deal with Andrew Schultz, I think a great interview to watch is when Sebastian Maniscalco was on, and Seth was a great guy. Sebastian was like bringing Andrew to his world, like, bro, calm the hell down. You know, Andrew Schultz, hey, if you're watching this, bro, yo, Schultz, salute to all of your success. But, bro, when you interview people, man, quit breaking it up. Quit interrupting when they're making golden points, man. But quit doing that. But it's just who he is, and it's how he does his thing. It is 100% his brand. And guess what? It works. They got millions of subscribers, and people watch his videos. So, hey, man, Don DeMarco to Andrew Schultz for doing his thing, man. But it can be frustrating watching. I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm sitting here like, man, Schultz, just hush for 15 minutes. Let this man finish his point. But James Sexton did a really good job of driving home his message. Let's get back into it.
Estranged husband, now ex-husband, ran her over 3 times and stabbed her 16 times.
This is during the divorce?
During the divorce, and she survived. Like, this guy couldn't even get that shit right. Like, he stabbed someone 16 times, run him over 3 times, and she's alive to tell the tale, and he's in fucking prison.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she got 100% in the end, probably.
She got 100%. She also had to get like another kidney and some other things. So she lost out.
Probably could afford that on the black market.
Yeah, I mean, with the amount of money, yeah, she did all right.
Yeah.
Now, what role do you play in that?
Well, I wasn't like the lookout, if that's what you mean. Like, I was like,
Meaning,
there
like-
she is. You know, like,
Meaning, like, how much pressure were you putting on him where he just
a lot.
goes, I gotta
Yeah,
kill
a
him?
lot. Yeah, I think you know, when you're dealing with like high net worth and ultra high net worth divorces.
What is high net worth? Just
so
we
high net
understand.
worth is generally defined as a divorce where the estate is more than $10 million.
Got it.
Ultra high net worth is over $100 million.
Got it.
So it's a different level in some ways because you're fighting over bigger numbers. It's harder to track the values. A lot of the stuff that people do for like wealth preservation and tax avoidance, like super, super rich people don't own anything.
Yeah. It's interesting.
They have trusts that own LLCs that are beneficiaries of, and they're like great grandchildren that haven't been born yet own everything, and they just borrow it from them. Like, so that's why they pay like less in taxes than a guy who works at Burger King. So it's unbelievable.
Because they're not actually generating income.
No.
And you only pay tax on income. I guess you
Generally,
can pay capital gains too, but like,
not if you do it the right way. So what happens is these people pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to accountants and tax attorneys to make sure they don't have to pay taxes. But they don't anticipate that when they get divorced, this is just going to blow up in your face.
Wait, why? Why is it?
Because it makes it so complicated to figure out where is the money, what is marital, what is outside the scope of the marital estate, what can the judge get their hands on, what can't they get their hands on. So it becomes a really, really tricky, messy thing.
do you prefer the ultra high net worth clients, those cases?
I mean, they pay their bill on time, which is nice.
But outside of payment, like, is it just more stressful? Is it more grueling? Is it?
You know, I'm very blessed. I'm at the place in my career now where I have high net worth and ultra high net worth clients, and you can have a smaller number of clients who you give a lot more personalized attention to. Because anybody who's at like a certain level of net worth, they are used to being waited on, and they're used to their professionals. Like they've not romanticized a lawyer. Like they know lots of lawyers. So they look at lawyers like you'd look at like a plumber. Like, you know, there's a lot of people that do this. You work for me. And, you know, they're used to, so you have to give them a certain level of attention. But unlike a plumber, like you do get to yell at them. Like you can get, like, and sometimes that's what they want.
This is interesting. Yeah, you're almost like an authority figure.
Yeah,
even though okay, you are. Even though they're hiring you. That's really, it's like there's few positions where you're subservient to the person you're hiring. Like a trainer is one of them. Like your trainer can yell at you, tell you you're being lazy, together, stop eating this shit. There's lawyer, and then maybe like doctor.
Yeah, I mean, the two people you should never lie to are your doctor and your lawyer. Because like,
he ain't lying about that, bro. Don't lie to your doctor. Don't lie to your lawyer. Because your lawyer needs that information so they can get you out of trouble. Hopefully keep you out of prison, or, you know, keep you out of state jail or whatever, like local jail, state prison, federal penitentiary, state prison, or the local jail. They want to keep you out of that. So never lie to your lawyer. I mean, you have privilege and all that, so you can tell your lawyer everything you're doing. You don't have to worry about it. And your doctor, why lie to your doctor? You're going to lie to your doctor about some stuff, and they need to know this stuff so they can keep you alive. James Sexton, like the dude keeps it on point. He's talking about, you know, dealing with the dude who did horrible things to his wife, but she survived and she got the money anyway. And they're talking about high net worth and ultra high net worth. $10 million high net worth. So many people out here talking about, oh, he makes six figures or she makes six figures. 6 figures. That's nothing. You're not even considered high net worth. Think about that, guys. Did you hear what he said? Like, you got to think about this stuff. High net worth. So you're making $200,000, $300,000 a year. He's dealing with people that got $10 million in assets, liquid. And then the ultra high net worth, those people $100 million and up. Real money. Real money. So if you out here making your little $150,000, $200,000 a year, like someone like me, that's what I was making when I was in their tribe. So, man, that's nothing. It's nothing. You can mess that money up. But once you hit 10 million, and people used to ask me, man, all the time, like, yo, how come you're always saying that 10 million is your mark? Like, I'm like, yo, if I just want to hit 10 million liquid, I'm good. Because 10 million is a lot of money, bro. $10 million liquid, you good to go, bro. If you have $10 million liquid, you can take 8 million of that and put that in, you know, you can just put that, you just make 10, if you make 10% off of that, $8 million, if you make 10% off of that, that's $800,000 a year. Think about that, bro. $8 million invested in the markets or in real estate or wherever you're doing, you just invested smartly, and you're just getting a 10% return on that $8 million. You're getting $800,000 every year. That's not even like ultra high net worth. So think about that. So the people who are making, you know, $100 million and up, bro, they ain't worried about nothing. Nothing. 100 million, they getting $10 million a year. Right? They ain't worried about nothing. They ain't worried about nothing. $10 million a year if they don't do nothing else. They're getting $10 million. If they don't do nothing else, bro. $90,000 a year getting, like, come on, man. It's crazy. $900 million. Think about that, man. Just move this $90 million a year. Right? It's insane. $90 million. If you got $90 million net worth, bro, $90 million, just without doing anything, just $10 million, just 10% off of that, bro. Just 10%, man. $9 million a year. Like, so that's insane. Right? So that's what he's dealing with. He's dealing with high net worth, $10 million, and ultra high net worth, or however he put it, $100 million. So you sitting out here thinking you really doing something with your $250,000, $300,000 a year, man, you really ain't doing nothing. And that's a good chunk of money. You can live really well off of that money. You just have to keep working whatever you're doing. If you're an attorney or an architect, whatever you're doing, you have to keep making that money for at least 10 years and then set it up to where, you know, you can get yourself a nice little income off of that, bro. You know, like some residual income. So, I mean, it is what it is. We got Brother Mandrell in the building. What's good, fam? My favorite snake eater, man, Green Beret. Me and Mandrell working on some stuff, bro. Like during this downturn, things about to get crazy out here. But during this downturn, we gonna make some money. Mandrell, I'm gonna call you soon, bro. We're getting closer. We're getting real close. Me and Jay Swans were talking about some stuff, man. We're definitely gonna hit you up. We got Brother Carlos in the building. What's good, fam? Brother Carlos, he's like, my divorce attorney was my divorce lawyer was amazing. I tell all my brothers, no matter how civil he thinks she is, man, get a good lawyer. You're gonna need it. You're gonna need it. And Section talks about this, bro. Doesn't matter, man. Doesn't matter. If you're dealing with a woman who is like really cool, just as cool as you, like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. We got kids involved. We're gonna do this, whatever. Man, you know how rare that is? That has to be single-digit percent. That has to be like less than 5%, less than 3% of women are like that. Everyone else is just going to try to get over, bro. It's greed, man. That's bottom line is greed. Simple as that. Simple as that. That's just how the game works. Let's continue.
Everything you tell us, every single thing you tell us is protected by privilege, and there's absolutely our only jobs to protect you.
How do you do that in the beginning? So you're sitting down with somebody, and you could tell they're being a little fugazi about the information.
Yeah.
How do you just go, dude, you're going to screw yourself if you don't tell me where the fucking bodies are buried?
I literally say that.
Okay.
I mean, I don't pull any punches on it.
Yeah.
Like I very much, but what I usually will say to them, just to kind of like take it to a place that they can understand, is I'll say, look, I just want, at the beginning of this relationship, I want you to understand, I represent people who've been victims of domestic violence. Yeah. I represent perpetrators of domestic violence. Oof. I represent people who are, by any objective standard, amazing parents. And I represent people who just want to put the kids in the middle for leverage for child support purposes. And I am no one's moral compass. I'm a weapon. And a weapon in the hands of a hero, right, is going to protect people. Yeah. And a weapon in the hands of the villain is going to cause chaos. But the weapon is kind of neutral, right?
Who's the worst person you've defended?
I mean, obviously, a lot of my clients, I can't disclose who they are, except
not in actual.
What do they do?
Like, what did they do?
Oh, I've represented people who are, you know, by any objective metric, are you know, malignant narcissists. I mean, so unfortunately, the traits that make people very successful, particularly in high finance, which is what New York is really like. Yeah. My colleague Laura Wasser is in LA. She represents like every celebrity you've ever seen. Yeah. I represent a lot of people in finance who could buy those celebrities 10 times over, but would walk past you on the street. You never know who they were.
Did you represent any current or former presidents?
No presidents yet. No presidents yet. They all seem to keep it together, right? Yeah, Clinton, I got my fingers crossed.
How do you
Obama, maybe. Yeah. Oh, real quick, because I don't want to get away from that. The reason why I was asking that question, like the worst person you've represented, like talking to you even before, you don't seem like a sociopath. Like you seem like, and even watching videos of you, like you seem like quite like empathetic. You have a lot of emotion, right? I've seen you get like sensitive in interviews for sure. So I understand, and there's a lot of times this happens with like defense attorneys.
Yeah.
You go, how could you represent this person?
It's a great question.
So you're representing sometimes scumbags.
Awful people. Yeah, awful people.
Is there ever a moment where you're like, I can't fight for this guy?
No, because
Real quick, just a caveat.
Yeah.
This guy abuses his kids, or this woman abuses her kids, and by fighting for custody, I'm enabling the abuse of those kids.
Yeah. So you have that thought. Like so first of all, yes, I'm a sensitive person. I don't think I could do this job well if I wasn't. Because to do this job well, it's just like I think it's like being a comic. I think you have to have a sensitivity.
Yep.
You have to be able to read what's going on with this audience, and you have to know what's working, what's not, and be able to shift, right? So it's the same exact thing. It's just my audience is a judge. So and I'm really here. Like our job's the same. We're here to manipulate people's emotional states.
Yeah.
That's our job. Like your job is to manipulate people. You want them to laugh, relax, and enjoy.
Yeah.
I want the other side to be scared. I want my client to feel safe. I want the judge to like my client and hate the other side. So I'm here just manipulating everybody's emotional state. And to do that well, I have to be very open, receptive, empathetic, and sensitive.
Got it.
The downside of that is, I'm sensitive. I'm
feeling all
empathetic.
that
I feel
shit.
a lot of it. I represent the client, but I also represent the system. And I don't always believe in the client, but I believe in the system.
Give me an example of that where those.
I was talking about it on Mark's show some time ago when I represented a guy who was a pimp, like literally a pimp. That was his job. Like he actually was, he he's in federal prison now for guns, but he was an atrocious human being. He was an abuser. And I was up against an adversary who was an unskilled attorney and very, like, it was all this woman could afford.
Oof.
And I absolutely ran her over. And we walked out of court, and the guy pat me on the back, and he said, man, one good lawyer is worth 20 stick-up men. And I just remember thinking,
Man, I hope y'all are watching it and paying attention. One good lawyer is worth 20 stick-up men, worth 20 wet dudes. I'd rather have one good attorney than 20 dudes with guns who are going to go out here and make it happen. That's real talk. Like, so when you get married, if you find yourself in family court, you better have the best attorney out there. If your attorney is worse than the other attorney, it's going to be bad for you. And then it depends on what state you're in. Like you were saying, he's performing for the judge. I want the judge to believe my client and hate the other side. So he's playing that game, right? A lot of attorneys, you got attorneys out there who are just about the data. It's white and black with them. They don't have that personable side. They don't know how to argue, or they're not in tune to what the judge is feeling, because that makes a difference. I was in California going through family court, man. One of the judges I had to deal with was an activist judge, a renegade judge. She knew what she was doing was wrong. And a lot of the attorneys didn't know how to deal with her. Eventually, they caught up with the judge, and they removed the judge from the bench. They put her in a different court. They didn't fire her, which they should have. They didn't lock her up, which they should have. This judge was an activist judge. This judge didn't like men. She was all about females. It was all about the women. And this is horrible. Right? This is horrible. But when you're dealing with an attorney who doesn't understand that, because all the attorneys know all the different judges. They're like, oh, what judge you have? They'll look at that. They go through your paperwork. They're looking for the judge. What courtroom you in? Oh, okay, that's Judge so-and-so. They know what time it is. And a smart attorney, if they like, this is an activist judge, and you got enough money, we're just going to file for a change of venue. We're going to get you out of this courtroom. We're going to get you in this courtroom right next door, because this judge over here is all about the law. That judge over there, she's on something different. And if you got enough money, they're going to make that happen. But the fact is, you got to have the money to get that attorney who understands that knows what's going on behind the scenes. And the attorney's only going to go so far. Just like James Sexton said, and he's there for the system. The system is still there. James Sexton, if he wanted to, could probably be a judge in the family court system. Right? He probably will be an effective judge. And he speaks on judges and stuff later on in his interview. And we're going to go through this whole interview. It might take us 3 episodes to get through it, but we're going to get through this whole interview. Y'all need to understand that. Like, this game is crazy. And a lot of people are like, well, I can't believe it's a game. Well, believe it. because it is. It is a game. And until our society decides to do away with this, there should not be a family court system. There shouldn't be a judge. There shouldn't be any of that. It should be bean counters. It should be accountants. It should be people who say, all right, this is how it works. You're going to get 50% custody of your child. You're going to get 50% of the custody of your child. All we need to do is figure out, what days you're going to get. Is it going to be 2, 3, 2? Is it going to be week on, week off? Like, that's all we need to figure out. You're not going to benefit financially by taking the child away from one parent, because that's what we do right now. It's like it's a system that we monetize kids, and if you want to win this game, you have to take time away from the other parent because that's where the money is. If you do away with that and you take the court out of, like, you don't have a judge that can lock you up, it's like, no, this is what we're doing. This is how it works. We can't lock you up, but this is what it is. You got 50% custody, and that's it. You pay for the child while you have the child, and the other person to pay for the child while they have the child. And if you come back to the court saying, or you come back to this body and say, well, I don't have enough money to feed my child, fine. We're going to leave the child with the parent who does have the money to feed the child. You can visit with the child later. We're going to make that parent the more responsible parent. That's the parent with the money. We're not going to take money from that parent and give it to you because you don't have any money. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you got to look at that, right? And slowly the system is changing, slowly, but we still got a ways to go. We got a long way to go. Let's continue.
Like, I want to go home and just take a shower right now because that just feels dirty.
Crazy.
But
So you do have that. I've always wondered if lawyers have that feeling.
of course.
And then can you compartmentalize that?
I think you have
and move
to.
on.
I
Okay.
think you have to, because look, what I'll tell you is the truth has a way of coming out, sometimes despite my best efforts.
Meaning
the
that guy ends up in federal prison.
Well, that's what ended up happening with that guy.
Yeah.
Is he ended up in federal prison. I mean, I think the truth has a way of coming out. I have to tell my clients that sometimes. Like, look, I can throw up a lot of smoke and mirrors, but shit comes out. Like, the truth comes out.
I have so many questions. I'm sure everybody else does, but very exciting. Okay, so there's this thing with lawyers where, like, a lot of times our engagement with lawyers is usually during maybe the worst times in our lives.
Sure.
Right. So the connectivity that we have with lawyers is like, it's pretty abysmal, right? Yeah. But when you need help and a lawyer is helping you, they are heroic, as you just said.
Yeah.
And you've seen like TV shows that talk about, like, Lincoln Lawyer was a great movie with McConaughey. And now they have this TV show where the lawyer is protecting the innocent that are wrongfully accused, et cetera. Like, you've seen it with Joe Pesci and
My Cousin Vinny.
My Cousin Vinny and that kind of stuff.
Suits.
Are there ever moments where you get to be the hero?
Yeah.
And what does that feel like?
That feels amazing. That's intoxicating.
Give me an example of, like, somebody who you protected. It was like a woman who was being
Yeah, I'll give you a
abused,
great
or
one.
kids.
I'll give you a great one. I'm a dog person. I love dogs.
Yeah.
So I had a woman come in and she said to me, described this situation of, like, coercive control, domestic violence she'd been in for ages. And this guy was controlling, abusive in the worst possible ways, like insidious ways, but also was an incredibly charming narcissist. So, like, no one would ever suspect. Like, if you said to anybody, this guy was an abuser, they'd be like, him? He's the nicest guy. Are you kidding me?
Right.
And she told me her story. She said, I'm afraid nobody's going to believe me. He said to me, no one will ever believe you. I'll make sure you're penniless. I'll do whatever I have to do to, like, crush you. And I'm listening to this, and I've handled a lot of domestic violence cases before. So I was like, okay, look, the system has a way of sorting these things out, and let's talk about what we can prove and what we can't. And she said, I have something. She said, we have a puppy. We have a 6-month-old black lab puppy. And the Ring camera of our doorbell caught him just beating the shit out of this 6-month-old puppy. And I was like, and you have that footage? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, like, give me everything you have and I'll take a look. And I sat there that night and I watched this footage. And as a dog lover, like, I was shaking. Yeah. I mean, it was to listen to it, to hear it, like, to watch this guy just beating this puppy. And the puppy, like, is a puppy. Its tail's wagging. It's trying to, like, kind of get away from him, and, like, it doesn't understand what's going on.
Christ.
And I just remember looking at it and thinking, like, I'm going to torture this fucking guy to death. And I called her the next day and I said, I'll take your case. And she was like, well, I'm worried I can't afford you. I'm like, I'll cut my hourly rate in half. I was like, I just want a piece of this fucking guy.
No pro bono.
So no pro bono. No pro bono.
He didn't kill the dog. Dog's all right.
Which is crazy. Like he's like, you got a lot of that too, man. Like I was dealing with attorneys. Some attorneys, man, they will feel bad for you. Like if they know you're getting railroaded by the system, they'll just walk away. Like, hey man, sorry this happened to you. They're not gonna charge you any more money. They'll just walk away. Some attorneys like, nope, you gotta pay me that bread. You got some attorneys like, I got this thing, like he said, like he's like a dog person. Well, I got this guy beating a puppy. You know, James Sexton is probably, he's probably north of $500 an hour. You know, so he's like, well, let's say he's $500 an hour. He's like, I'll cut my hourly rate in half. It's still $250 an hour, right? She's still gonna have to pay him in installments, but if she gets enough money with back paying all that, she'll be able to pay him. You know, so it's not a game, but you see how it go. You know what I'm saying? You see how this goes. It's not about the children like they tell you. It's all about the kids. It's not about that. It's you see how they do this, right? It is 100% a game. It's the family law game. If you can get this dude, you can get James Sexton for whatever reason, you probably gonna win. If you got James Sexton and the other side got some dude who's fresh out of law school, whatever, just trying to figure it out, man, that James Sexton's gonna railroad that dude. That's like having the Kansas City Chiefs on your side and the other side has a high school team. Like you blowing them boys out. That's the game, and that's terrible. I think that's terrible. I mean, if you have a person who's abusive towards humans and all that kind of stuff, and you can prove it, they should have to deal with the legal consequences of that, right? And then you can go ahead and roll that into like the kids and make sure that you ain't messing with the kids. You can talk to the kids, find out what's going on. But man, like the family law game is such a terrible thing, especially if you have money. And this is why you have to be smart. This is why his message is get a prenup. Get a prenup and you ain't got to go hire a James Sexton. You ain't got to go out and find the best attorney in your town. You got a prenup. And here's what we signed. This is what we agreed to right here. It's all done right here. If the other party wants to change it, nah, we ain't changing it. You agreed to that. It's in writing and we good. It's done. We ain't got to do nothing else. Well, I think I can get more money. You ain't getting it now. You signed this prenup. And I think that's the best way to go. If you're going to get married in America, make sure you get a prenup. Otherwise, don't get legally married in America. Let's continue.
Right. Yeah, don't forget. I gotta eat. Oh no.
Okay. All right. So how did you torture
I'm
him?
sorry, that just shook me a little bit.
It's
Worse than the memory of the dog video. Horrible.
For free.
Yeah, free. God, hold on. Jesus, I cut my rate in half, guys. That's impressive. That's only like $500. I mean, that's pretty good. So I took on the case, and it was like a professional hit. Like I got this guy thrown out of his house. It happened to get assigned to a judge who I knew liked dogs, who had a court attorney who I knew liked dogs. So I just made a meal out of this, like you wouldn't believe. And I actually, when I got to the courthouse, I shouldn't say this in public, but I will. I'm close enough to retirement, I can get away with it. I actually went up to the court officers who are, the security for the building. They're armed, And I said to him, by the way, this is because I had mentioned that there was this case coming in where I had video of this guy beating the dog. And you ever want to see like people's vindictive side come out? Tell them somebody beat up a puppy. It's like I have to tell you, people like a little old lady would be like, kill the motherfucker. So I said to the court officer, I said, listen, I said, this case is in today. They said, oh, that guy's today? I said, yeah. I said, and by the way, I said, if he and I ended up in the restroom at the same time together, he started whatever fight happened. And they were like, absolutely. In fact, we heard him shouting at me. I was like, thanks, man, But sure enough, like that was a case where that single piece of evidence was able to just neutralize his ability to go in and be a charming person.
Because you saw the real side of him that he talked about.
Exactly. Yeah. And the more he...
And they say you saw the real side of him. You saw a dude do something horrific. You saw a dude screw up. That's what you saw. James Sexton is like, oh, I'm going to take this. We're going to run this all the way to the finish line. right? Think about what he just said. James Sexton had a guy where this woman had one video of this guy beating up on the puppy, which he shouldn't do. That's horrible. I'm not trying to vindicate the guy in any way, shape, or form. I'm not. He sounds like a piece of shit. But let's look at the other side of that. Let's say that this was the nicest guy you ever wanted to meet in your life ever, and it's one time that he beat a puppy. Now, I hear what you're saying. Like, come on, Saint, man, he beat a puppy. He's right. He never should have done it. But let's say he only did it one time, ever. That's the one time he ever did it. She had the Ring camera footage. She kept it. And, 4 years down the line or whatever, however long down the line, she's like, I got this video footage here. And that helps her win her case. What if she beat that puppy? What if she beat that puppy 5 times? He just didn't have the video footage of it, right? What if? Right? That's all I'm saying. The family law system shouldn't take in that stuff into consideration, but it does. Then that's the game. That's all I'm saying. So you should understand the game. And I don't want to be the guy who's out there trying to defend some dude who's beating puppies. If you beating puppies, you're a piece of shit. You beating kids, you're a piece of shit. All right, I'm just going to say that. I'm just going to say that right now. But one video of him being beating a puppy, and James Sexton was able to take that and run it and turn the entire courthouse against this dude. That's the game. That's the game. And that's what you paying someone like James Sexton to do. He knows the judge loves dogs. He knows the bailiffs, they love dogs. He knows the stenographer. He knows the court reporter. He knows everybody loves dogs. He puts that out there, let this dude know, like, this is the guy, he's on the docket. This is the day we coming to do this. That guy didn't stand a chance. That's why you paying James Sexton. That's why you paying an attorney like James Sexton. They're going to figure out what they need to do for you to win. Right? That's the game. And I ain't mad. But at the same time, it was like, well, damn, what if she was beating the kid? What if she was beating the kids? He beating the dog, she beating the kids, which is worse. It's horrible both ways, right? Again, just food for thought. Let's continue.
He went in trying to be charming as opposed to saying, like,
The more psycho he looks.
Yeah.
exactly.
And the more foolish
so
he
it
is,
felt,
like,
that felt
sometimes
great.
you see a person, and you can see it in smaller examples, but that's such a crystal clear example of like, oh, everything you say is bullshit. This is you. This
Right,
is you, and
right.
everything she says, I'm going to believe.
Well, and that's
'Cause now I'm
exactly
seeing
what you
behind
say to the
closed
judge,
doors.
because I said to the judge, I'm like, now, Judge, for every cockroach you see, there's 50 in the walls. Like, we
that's
caught
sick.
this on video.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
how
yeah,
many
this
other
isn't the
times
only
did this
time he's done
happen?
something.
How many other times? Like, when was the camera not rolling in the
Yeah.
last...
And
The
for the
next time
ring
I'm
cam
in
to
court,
catch it.
it'll be another cockroach. So just remember for my case specifically.
That's like when Diddy did the apology video, but then the hotel video came out and was like, we looked at that apology video as such bullshit.
Yeah, you're a psycho.
Yeah.
now.
And this is in the lobby of the hotel. That's in the entrance of the house. We're not seeing what's actually happening behind closed doors. You know what I mean?
So perpetrators of domestic violence are, in my experience, like they're charming. Like, how else would they get victims?
Yeah.
Like, the way there are
Yeah.
people that are great at love bombing. They're great at, like, convincing a person that, oh my God, I would never hurt you. I care so
Yeah.
much about you. And then when something happens, doing the whole, like, I'm so sorry that happens. I love you so much. It'll never happen again.
It's really interesting because a lot of times when they're portrayed in like TV or film, they're these like drunken asshole scumbags.
no way.
But there was that show. I don't know if it was Pretty Little Liars or something. Not Pretty Little Liars. The one that takes place in Silicon Valley. It had Nicole Kidman.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking
Big
about.
Little
Little
Lies.
Lies.
Big
Big Little
yeah,
Lies.
yeah.
The husband of Nicole Kidman
Exactly right.
was an abuser.
And was a great portrayal of what they're
what they
like.
actually are
yeah,
like.
Yeah, good looking, charming, successful.
Great with the kids,
Yeah.
like all
well,
these
because
things.
a lot of that, like adjustment personality disorder, that like sociopath behavior, that ability to sort of blend into your circumstances, it makes people very effective in their professional lives because they can just go into whatever setting and be whoever they need to be in that setting.
yeah.
But in their home life, it turns into something that, that's chaos when you have to deal with those DV cases.
Man, and you hear this, and it's like, his job is, I guarantee you that James Sexton is really good at his job. You got this one video of a guy beating up on a puppy, and that's horrible. That is horrible. Like I said, who knows if the woman ever did it, just wasn't caught on film, but she got this piece of footage. if the guy was as abusive as he was made out to be, you would imagine that there would be more video footage of him being abusive, either to the dog, maybe the cat, maybe one of the kids, maybe to her. You would think there would be more. You got the zoom camera. If you got a zoom camera outside, you got more cameras inside. You got cameras on the back patio. You got cameras in the living room. You got a nanny cam with the kids' room. So again, I'm not trying to stand up for a dude who beats puppies. He's a piece of shit. You know what I mean? But if he did it, it's crazy. They got the video of him doing it. My thing is that he did that one time. Did the puppy bite him? Like, he did it one time. It makes you wonder, like, well, what did he do? But this is why you want to get the best attorney you can. And if you get something like this, and especially if you're a man, if you did some shit like this, they got this footage on you, you did some shit like this, and you a dude, and you going to court, it's over for you, bro. It's over for you. You got a woman who did the same thing, you're gonna need more. You're just gonna need more. I've been through, man, I can't talk about it right now, but I have court documents, bro. I have transcripts where just take my word for it. Right? Like, I'm lit saint right now, so I can't really speak on this. I'm drunk, but I ain't that drunk. I'm not gonna speak on it right now until everything is done, but I could prove felonies that were committed, and the court got mad at me. Why? The judge was an activist judge. They didn't protect the system. So let's continue.
I'm not going to say who because it's not worth it, but we all know that at my wedding, the guy gave a speech, leveled the room. So funny, so charming. And then behind closed doors, it's just like, oh, this is a monster.
Yeah.
It's a whole different human being.
Yeah.
You thought my speech was funny?
That's funny you think we're that close.
I'm going to be like this now with Mark.
All right, guys, you also got to buy tickets. First of all, Columbus, Ohio, 2.
So 11th through the 12th of April, Akash is going to come down to Tampa. I'm going to try to catch up with dude, but I ain't going to lie, man. Akash is very passive aggressive, but I'm going to try to catch up with him. I wouldn't mind, because you guys know I'm working with Will Golston, NFL veteran, over 12 years in the league, and Will wants to start a podcast, and I'm his producer, executive producer, and we're going to start doing some stuff. So I'm going to try to get Akash. I would love to hear Akash and Will have a conversation. We'll see what happens. But that's coming up in a few weeks, couple weeks. I'm gonna see if I can catch up with him, because he's gonna be at Side Splitters. Oh, man, Akash is just so passive aggressive, and it's one of those things. And Akash, if you're watching this, man, it is what it is, bro. But it's like you're tied to Andrew, like Schultze. You're tied to Schultze, and I hope he breaks out, but. And then this dude right here, Mark, I've never seen Mark. Let's see where he's going. He's going Charlotte, Strasburg, Hoboken, nowhere near me. He's going to be in San Diego. So I've never seen Mark stand up. I've never seen Akash's stand up live. I've seen Akash online. But I'm going to try to holler at these dudes. We're definitely going to try to holler. Akash is going to be down here. Definitely going to try to holler at him. We'll see what happens. But hey, man, shout out to them. Shout out to them. Here we go.
Representing bad people.
Oh my God, I got pilloried for that. By
Did
the
you
way.
really?
Well, you put that clip up, and all of a sudden, all the comments were like, "Look at this scumbag!" How dare you?
Great job, Mark.
And I was like, "Great, yeah, thanks a
You're
lot."
a weapon. You're a weapon.
But I said, I'm sorry you live in a democracy. Like, we have a system. Everyone's entitled to have counsel. And by the way, it's not like fucked up people come in and at the consult go, "Listen, I'm a straight piece of shit. I've been beating this woman for years, and I just need you to help me get out of it." It's not how it works.
They come in like a victim.
They come in and they're like, "Listen, she's crazy. She attacks me." And once I had to push her off me, and she hit against the wall, but now she's going to falsely accuse me of domestic violence. And you sit there and you're and sometimes I'm in court.
Yeah.
When I'm, sitting, my client's next to me, and I realize oh shit, I've got the villain. Okay, all right, like that was not great, you know, because it's not surprising. Like when people tell you the story of their life, they're usually the fucking hero of the story. Like rarely do they come in and go, listen, I'm all fucked up. You know, like, it's one of the few things that like stand-ups I think do very well. Is they come in and just go, I'm so fucked up. You know, whereas most people come in and just go like, oh, listen, I'm wonderful, I'm great, and then you sort of learn progressively, and you start to look at their text messages, and also too, there's like human growth too, like who you were 10 years ago and who you are now. I had a client once who was a custody case about like a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
And when the woman was pregnant, when the mother was pregnant, so 11 years earlier, he had sent her all these text messages saying, because they'd been dating for like 2 months, like, you need to get an abortion, I don't want this baby, if you have this baby, I want nothing to do with it, you know. And of course, he'd been for 10 years a phenomenal father, loves his. And the other side, in our exchange of discovery, you have to like, you know, share all your ammunition in advance because it's not supposed to be trial by surprise. They sent me these text messages.
Real quick so everybody understands that, is that like all the information that both lawyers are going to use in court has to be shared with both lawyers.
Exactly right.
So this is what I'm talking about, man. So, see, I'm pretty sure that your people understand what discovery is. There's been plenty of episodes of Matlock. There's been plenty of, you know, Law and Order. I think they understand what discovery is. But Schultz will jump in there and it's like, well, I just want to make sure everyone understands what we're talking about. I don't think that Andrew Schultz's audience is that dumb, but maybe they are. I don't know. Right? Let's continue.
No lawyer is going, but you didn't see this text.
Exactly right. So anything you're going to put in, like photographs, audio recordings, video, you have to exchange it in advance. So
that's called discovery?
It's called discovery, and it's a process where it's meant so that everyone has the opportunity to like review something, make sure it's authentic, have it reviewed by experts if they need to, and also
have
to
a
prepare
rebuttal.
Their case, prepare their case as best they can. You're not allowed to like trial by surprise. Like, did you order the code red? It doesn't really work that way. Like what you have to do is you have to exchange the stuff. So they'd sent these text messages, and my attitude was, okay, we got to get in front of this. Like, we got to like Eminem 8 Mile final rap battle this. Like, I got to go in and like cover this and be like, now tell these people something they don't know about him. You know, like I got to do something with it. So that's exactly what I did. I put him on the stand and I said, you know, you see these text messages, you know, did you send these texts? He said, yeah. And I said, is that how you felt at the time? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, how do you feel when you read those text messages now? And this guy legitimately started crying on the witness stand. And he was like, I'm so, he's like, mortified. I'm so mad at myself. He's like, and I'm so horrified. And I'm so, like, if she'd listened to me, I wouldn't have my son. Like, and he's like, but I know I was like, just stupid and scared. And I'm watching opposing counsel just crossing out whole pages of their cross-examination because we got in front of it, you know? But that is like what happens.
And that's also like a more human, relatable moment. Like, it is terrifying. I imagine when somebody gets somebody pregnant and they're not aware of it, they don't know what to do. And that's this knee-jerk reaction and you sound horrible. And then you have 10 years with the most amazing thing you've ever created. And you are just so embarrassed that you could have made one flippant decision that eliminated those 10 years.
Well, and that's why, you know, when people say like representing good people and bad, like if only we could just put people in boxes of good people and bad people and just separate them. But like, you know, the line of good and evil runs right through the human heart. So I think at the end of the day, what you have to say, like, if I judge your husband being a husband, your ability to be a husband by your best moment as a husband, you're a phenomenal husband. If I look at the worst moment you've ever had as a husband, and that's the totality of you, but that's not how it works. You kind of have to average.
You know, this is the stuff that I'm talking about, man. Like, Sexton really breaks it down for you, man. He really breaks it down for you. He's giving you the game in America on the family law thing. Like, it's, bro, if I get enough dirt on you, you through. I don't care if you're the mom or the dad. If I get enough dirt on you as the attorney, you through. But the opposing side, if I can find out what you got, oh, you got a video or you got text messages. She saved text messages from 10 years prior when you were saying, I'm not ready. You need to go ahead and do this and delete this and we're going to move over, whatever, right? You need to exercise your option. That's what pretty much every dude's going to say. And then when the guy's like, okay, she's not going to do that. Why? Because in America, Women decide who is born and who isn't born. Women get to decide who gets to live. I mean, it is what it is. It's how law is set up. Women decide who is going to be born in America. It is what it is. Even today, when you say, well, you can't do it in Florida, you can't do it in Texas, you can't do it in Tennessee, you can do it everywhere else. There's always going to be liberal states where you can go get that done, right? So it is what it is. That is her choice. And then the guy's like, here's the thing. The guy doesn't have a beef with the child or potential child. The guy doesn't want to be tied to that other human for 18 years plus. That's what it boils down to. So you got this guy who's fired off these text messages, and here the text messages come 10 years later, 15 years later in court. Good thing he had James Sexton, so he got in, he got up in there. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. We got Brother Pitney in the building. What's good, fam? Definitely good to see you, man. We got old Joe Canada checking in. What's good, fam? All right, old Joe, that's my brother up there in Canada, man. I tell you what, hey, old Joe, man, I'm trying to figure out how to get up to Canada, man. It's tough right now. It's tough. This administration is making it hard. I want to go to Montreal. I want to go to Quebec, right? I want to come to Canada, but damn, it's hard right now, bro. I just be telling folks like, yo, I ain't a Trumper, man. Watch my podcast, man. I can prove it. I'm not that dude. But it is what it is. Brother Pitney, he was like, James Sexton is a W. He's absolutely a winner, man. I'm glad he came on the scene via Soft White Underbelly. Yep, I said that at the top of the show. That's where I first saw him, on Soft White Underbelly. And here's the thing, man. I love his take on this. His thing is understand how the game works, and if you want to proceed. Go ahead. If you want to go and get married in America without a prenup, go ahead. But you should get a prenup. And so we're definitely gonna keep this. We're gonna keep this popping. He's like, I'm in the middle of this now. It is which is. I'm sorry you're going through it. I don't know how it works in Canada, but down here in the States, bro, you need to get a really good lawyer. If you get a really good lawyer, it's gonna cost you. You know, it's gonna cost you, probably north of $500 an hour. But if you can afford it, you get yourself a really good lawyer from the very beginning. Guys, listen to me. If you find yourself in a situation, you got to go to family court. Don't go in there by yourself. Don't go in there pro se. Don't go in there and represent yourself. Get an attorney. Get the best attorney you can afford. If you got to go borrow money, go do it, especially if kids are involved. Get the best attorney that you can, and that attorney is going to make sure that you are in your child's life, and they're going to make sure that you don't get ran over by the system. And that's the message that James Sexton is putting out here. But old Joe is saying that if you're doing call-ins, I can chat about the legal process as it stands. Now, what are you saying? What you are saying is important. I will definitely drop that, bro. We're not gonna do the whole. This is gonna be probably a 2, maybe a 3-parter with this interview, because I wanna go over the entire interview on Flagrant. So I'm definitely gonna drop the link, bro. I want to hear your story, fam. I'm gonna drop your link. Give me what time is it now? I'll drop the link in about 10, 15 minutes. I'm gonna run through this just a little bit longer, and then we're gonna drop the link. So I appreciate you, bro. We definitely gonna do that.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thing too, because I imagine in divorce or in an argument or in anything, the only thing that we're focusing on are the worst moments of that person's life.
Right.
So I'm sure the husbands and the wife in those circumstances are just judging them by the most horrible things that they've done, when in reality there's probably amazing memories. I'm not talking about domestic violence people. I'm talking about people that had a marriage and then it became loveless and they're like, let's separate, and now it gets contentious over kids or assets. 100%. But again, you're just focusing on these horrible things. Not a beautiful vacation you guys went to, not a great time you guys cooked dinner together, the laughs. And again, maybe this doesn't make you enough money, but is there ever not enough money, but is there ever a moment like in divorce where both lawyers are going, hey, should we try? These people don't hate each other. Nobody did something heinous. How can we not prolong this?
Yeah.
Do you guys do that
best
at all, or
of
no?
100%. The best of us absolutely do that. Like, this is like, you live and die by a reputation in this business. And if you're the kind of person that just exacerbates conflict, you don't last long in this business.
Because why? It looks like you're just trying to milk it, and then the lawyers get rich and everybody else suffers.
And your client leaves with a really bad taste in their mouth because they see that you're just amplifying. Like, my job very often is to protect people from the part of themselves that's feeling brokenhearted and vindictive.
Oh, so
like, people come in and they're like, I caught him fucking his secretary. I want to rip his nuts off. I want to kill him. And my job is to go, look, you have every right to feel the way that you feel. But let's focus on the issues right now. Like, you're going to have grandkids with this person someday. You're stuck with him.
You're going to see him for the rest of your life, no matter what.
Like, I have an ex-wife. Trust me, I got to sit next to her. At graduations, I got to sit next to her. Like, it's what you do. So you have to learn how to interact with this person. And you try to say to them, look, most people, the good news is most people love their kids more than they hate their ex. Like, most people's love for their children is the most powerful thing they have. I mean, I know we've got two relatively new fathers here, So, I mean, the truth is that is a powerful emotion that very often will make you put down a lot of other stuff. And so it really turns into something where our job is to try to bring out the angels of people's better nature. So I always tell clients, like, in a negotiating table in a courtroom, I'm a weapon. My job is to just go at a person and attack and do that.
But before you get
when
there,
the door is closed, and it's me and my whole thing is, look, I'd rather you pay her than pay me. Like, stand down. Like, let's not do this. Put your kids through college, not mine. Like, let's figure out how to do this the right way. If I get a sense when I do a consult with somebody that they have any chance that they could go to a mediator instead of using lawyers and they could sit, I'll send them right to a mediator. I probably send 2-3 cases a week to mediators.
Is that
what y'all need to understand here in America, bro, that what James Sexton is saying, I wish that was 100% of attorneys in America. It's not. It's not. There are a lot of attorneys in America who want to keep you running up the hours. They want you on the phone. They want to be on the phone with the other attorney. They want to run it up at $200, $300, $400 an hour. They want to run it up. They're not doing what he's talking about. They'll tell you got to go to a mediator. Why? Because the court mandates you go to mediation first before you come before the judge. That's why. Otherwise, they don't want you to go to a mediator. They want you dealing with them. They want to call and negotiate with the other attorney or the other person if they're pro se and run the bill up. That's what they want to do. They know how much money you make a month. They know how much money you make a year. They know how much money you have in savings. They know how much money you have in retirement, how much money you can get to. They know. They're like, you know what? This guy has access to $300,000. So I'm trying to get $275,000 of that. There's attorneys out there who are like that. James Sexton makes enough money. Why? He's dealing with the wealthy people, $10 million, and he's dealing with the ultra wealthy people, the $100 million and up crowd. So he ain't trying to do all that, right? But you got those attorneys down at the bottom, man, they trying to pay off their, student loan debt. They might be sitting on $300,000 of student loan. They got to get that money, right? This is all part of the game. Right? This is all part of the game. And this is why in America, especially, we need to change this. Take the money out of it. If you take the money out of family court, out of family law, then lawyers will leave. When I was coming up back in the 80s, right, the top tier attorneys were doing mergers and acquisitions. That was the thing. Don't take my word for it. Go look it up. Mergers and acquisitions. I was messing with people who were in Ivy League, right? They were going to Harvard, Yale, they were going to UPenn. They were doing all that kind of stuff, man. Right? They were in the top attorneys, the top kids in law school was trying to do mergers and acquisitions. Now, the top attorneys coming out, you know what they're getting into? Family law. They getting into family law. Why? Because that's where the money at. They was doing mergers and acquisitions back in the day because that's where the money was. But now, the money's in family law. When you go into like the 90s, the 80s, and like late mid 80s into the early 90s, right? Criminal law was the big thing. That's when all the D boys were out there doing their thing, and make the war on drugs and all that. Criminal law. So it was mergers and acquisitions, and then under that was criminal law. That's where the top attorneys were going. Now you'd be hard pressed to find a criminal attorney that doesn't do family law. They making money off of family law. Family law is up there, bro. It's money, man. To the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars. You get like regular Americans who, like someone like me, air traffic controller or some architect somewhere, whatever. There is hundreds of thousands of dollars of billable hours available, and that's what they're doing. You'll be lucky to find someone like James Sexton's like, look, man, you can pay me or you can pay her. Go ahead and pay her, bro. I don't need no more money for my kids. My kids both going to school. I got my kids going to school. They good all the way through. Undergrad, all the way through med school, all the way through law school. Pay her, man. Just go ahead and pay the money. It'll be cheaper. But they ain't saying that. They going to sit back and like, so what do you want to do? I want you to make them pay. I want you to make them hurt. Okay, fine. I'm going to file this. I'm going to file that. I'm going to file that. Every time they file something, that's money. Every time they talk to you on the phone, that's money. Every time they go to court to a hearing for you because of something they filed, that's money. Driving from wherever their offices are to the court and back, that's money. You go through the family court system, bro, and if you're some dude who's out here making six figures, six figures, high six figures or whatever, you can easily go through 10, 15, 20, 30, $50,000 before you even realize it. Before you even realize it. Every time you look up, you cutting a check for $5,000. Do that 10 times, man. 50 grand. Just like that. Before you realize it. Only to lose in court, and then you got to pay for her attorney another 50 grand. You at $100,000, and you got to go and pay whatever order comes down for alimony and child support. Right? Over 18 years, man, you're looking at maybe $500,000. $500,000. Look at that. Old Joe's telling you, it was $100K for him. And he in Canada. $100K. I'm about to drop the link in a second, bro. Let's continue.
What is like the process?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of paths up the mountain, but the ideal process is two people sit down and they map out, what do you want to do with the kids? What's going to make sense? Like, well, you work this night, I work this night, so you'll have the kids this night or that night. I mean, ideally, people could sit down at the kitchen table with a piece of paper and just map it out. But second best is you go to a mediator. That's a person who's usually an attorney or an accountant who's trained, who knows what issues to talk about. And they walk through it with you and they'll say, all right, here's the things we have to decide. And they don't represent either person. They represent both people in a sense. The next step from that is you get two attorneys that work collaboratively, that just don't come at each other, don't try to vilify either side, and just try to work, come up with identifying assets, valuing them, and how to divide them, figuring out what's going on, and just doing it that way. The thing I've got very good at over the course of 25 years is the warfare part of it, like the courtroom. So the people that come to me now tend to be people that have that kind of a complex case. And they need someone who knows how to do that particular set of skills, which is why I have all of these amusing anecdotes of like chaos. But the truth is, like the majority of divorce lawyers, it's really just about a negotiation. It's about trying to sort of, work with people in a way that doesn't amp up the conflict.
56% of people get divorced. It can't be 56% warfare. Right?
No, it's actually thankfully a really small percent.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
But the outliers.
So whenever you're dealing with a situation in divorce court where you're dealing with, what's the best way to put this? All right, I'll use myself as an example. All right, I had to go through a process where I had to go to counseling and everything, court-ordered counseling. I had to go to these classes. And when we got into the class, it was, I don't know, it might have been 16 of us in the class, maybe 12 of us in the class, right? Men and women or whatever. And it was couples, right? It was couples. It was one dude in there who was by himself because the woman involved was so bad. She was just such a terrible person that he went, but she refused to come to the class, even though it was court ordered, right? But he was there. And this dude was worth millions. This dude was like well over the $10 million mark. Like he was probably closer to that $100 million mark. And the reason I know this is one of the meetings we had. We were in the meeting, but he was about to go fly somewhere. I still have his number. I'm gonna have to reach out to him. He was a tech guy. This was when I was in LA. He was at the meeting and he was like, I have to, leave at a certain time. Like he wanted to leave right at the end so he can go and catch a plane to go wherever they were going, somewhere in the Caribbean. And the meeting went long, but he was really getting a lot of good information out of it. So we stayed And the counselor who was running the meeting was like, "Oh, you got to go." He's like, "Oh, don't worry about it." You know, he's basically flying private. And, you know, I'm the air traffic controller in the room. And I'm like, "What company are you using?" He was like, "Well, I'm using ExecJet." And I'm like, "Okay, he's cool." And they were like, "Well, he has to get out of here or the plane is going to leave." I'm like, "No, the airplane is not going to go anywhere. That's his plane. They're not leaving until he says go." So he's good. And they were just kind of like, he was like, "Yeah, what he said." Because I'm the air traffic controller in the room. And I'm like, "Nah, he's good." And so we sat there and we ran maybe 15, 20 minutes long. And then, he got up out of there. He was a good guy. But everyone else, it was like couples. It was couples. But he didn't have his counterpart because she was such a bad person. But anyway, we had to be in this room. We had to be in this room with all these other, other couples. And the woman who was running the class, the counselor, she said, "Look, if you're in this room, you guys represent the worst of the worst. Like, you guys represent I think she said 8% of people who just can't get it done on their own. Y'all got problems, and it has nothing to do with the kids." And she was right. And here's the thing. You had two people in there. You got mom and dad in there. And the counselor wasn't talking to both of them. We all knew, like, one of y'all, each couple, one of y'all was a problem. So I spent the rest of the time, I think we had to spend 2 weeks in that class. I spent the rest of the time figuring out who the problem was, and it didn't take long. It did not take long to figure out who the problem kids were. Like, because I'm looking at my situation, and I ain't gonna lie to you, my counterpart was the absolute worst in the room. Absolutely no one close to her. She was absolutely the absolute worst person in the room. We got to the point where she finished that course, but the judge ordered additional time for us to talk to that same counselor via Zoom, and my counterpart wouldn't even finish that court order shit, which is what she went out to get. She made it happen. It was her pushing for this, and we go and we try to get through this course, and she didn't even finish it. Court order. She didn't even finish it. It was her, and they did nothing to her. Again, I'm gonna stop there. If that had been me, they refused to do the rest of the court-ordered counseling, guess who would have went to jail? So, it is what it is. It is what it is. There's definitely a bias. And any man who's gone through this process understands what that bias is. And there's probably some women out there who've dealt with activist judges who may have been male, and, they had to deal with the brunt of that. And they didn't have a James Saxton there representing them. They had some Rudapoot, attorney, and they had to deal with the BS. So, like I said, if you are out there, man or woman, and you go into family court and someone gave you papers and you have to go to court, make sure you get the best attorney you can get, whatever it costs. Go take out a loan. Do what you got to do to get the best attorney in your area. We're going to continue just a little bit more, and then we're going to drop the link.
Like, very few people can just like hold hands, sing Kumbaya, and like write it down and solve it. Very few people go to war.
Yep.
But you hear about the war because it's way more fucking interesting. Like if I don't get invited to a lot of parties, but if I'm at a cocktail party and someone says, "What do you do?" I say, "I'm a divorce lawyer," and they're going to go, "Oh my God, you must have stories." And if I said, "I do," there was this couple and they were married and then they slowly grew apart from each other. So they decided how they would like amicably resolve their differences financially, and they shared their time with the children. They'd be like, "That's the worst fucking story." Like they want to hear the like, "No," and then he took a chainsaw and he cut the car in half. And then he said, "Pick which half you want, bitch." Like that. True story, by the way. True story.
What is your let's go there. What is your craziest divorce that you
Well, I mean, the guy who ran the lady over and stabbed her 16 times.
Fun crazy.
Fun crazy?
No, it doesn't have to be fun. Just absolute
God.
insanity. You're involved in this case. You're like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, I mean, I've had ones where like there's a lot of cash involved. So I had one where they over the years, guy was a dentist, and he took a lot of cash. And what he used to do is he used to wad it up in like these round things and then fill tennis ball cans with cash. And then they had a jacuzzi in the backyard, and he lined the jacuzzi thing with these tennis ball cans.
Wow.
So there was like $800,000 of cash in the lining of the jacuzzi. And I actually had to bring in an expert to testify to the size of the jacuzzi and the size of how much could be held in the tennis cans to ascertain what the value of the money that he had then removed from the jacuzzi was.
He took it out.
Took it all out. And he was like, what money? I don't know what you're talking about. There's no proof of it. You know? So that kind of stuff is like always an interesting, bizarre puzzle. But yeah, I mean, people are constantly cutting shit in half. I mean, the ones that shock me are the people who come in and and by the way, like Apple technology is responsible for more divorces than they
Yeah. That's real discovery right there.
Yeah, sorry, shots fired, Steve Jobs. I'm sorry, Tim Cook's gonna, like, my iPhone's gonna stop working now. Love your products, don't do that to me, man. But the truth is, like, there's the whole integration of the different devices.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people don't realize, like, your fucking text messages are coming up on the iPad that your kid's playing with.
Wow.
And then your wife, like, you're upstairs texting with the girlfriend about, like, it was so great last night, you know, and then the kid is like, bing, 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 and mom comes over like, what's going on? And they're like, I don't know, the cartoon stopped. And mom's like, what is this? And all of a sudden there's naked pictures of the girlfriend, and she's reading in real time, you know, and this happens like once a week. I get one of those cases.
Yes.
Okay, question about that. Do you think those people are just at the point where they're okay getting caught? Because that seems so foolish.
Yeah.
No, they're not okay getting caught. They don't have any game. And I'm not advocating for dudes to go out here and learn how to cheat, but you're dealing with dudes who were probably nerds in high school and college. It took them a little while, but they got to the bag. They started making money. They got the hot girl, right? They got married. They had kids. And then the hot girl decides, I'm not going to give you any more sex. Why? Because she really wasn't into him like that. She just wanted the security. Cool. That's the game. I ain't mad at that. So the dude finds another girl, another woman who's interested in going to give him the sex or whatever, because she's trying to do the same thing. She wants to get, like, okay, I'll get him to marry me, and then once I got him, I'm not going to give him any more either because I ain't into him either, right? That's what happened. The dude just careless. He doesn't know how to run a rotation. He's not a player. That's what that is. He's just a dude. And then you get stupid with the technology. You're not thinking about it. You're just excited. You got some hot chick who's into you, and you go out here and you do what you're doing. It's just, you just dumb. You're just stupid. That's what that is. And I don't advocate for that. I tell dudes all the time, like, look, you dealing with a woman, you married, you got a you know, committed relationship. Tell her. I'm finna go out here and do what I'm gonna do. Don't be mad at me. I'm finna go do this. And she might tell you, like, all right, go ahead and do that. But here are the requirements. I need you to keep it away from me. I don't ever want to see it. Keep it away from the kids. Be smart about it. Don't bring home any babies. Don't bring home any diseases. All right. Because she ain't trying to leave if you got enough money. If you a $100 million dude, she ain't trying to leave you. If you a $10 million dude, she ain't trying to leave you. So that's what that is. Like, you know, Andrew Schultz is sitting there, well, they just wanted to get caught. Nah, they didn't want to get caught. They don't know how to run game. They just don't get it. Someone like Akash who's sitting there, Akash don't know how to run no game. And like, if Akash was in a situation like that, dealing with someone because his wife didn't want to be with him no more physically, he'd probably get caught too doing something stupid. It might not be the iPad because he's more of a tech guy, but it might be something else, something he's going to overlook. He just don't understand. Not that I'm picking on Akash, but he's sitting there. You know what I mean? So it's easier just to make that. There's a lot of dudes who don't understand the game. Like, they just don't understand the game. And they go out here and they get caught up, and then you go to divorce court and you just gonna get raked over the coals. And guess what? You know what? That's what you get for being stupid. You should talk to her like a man up front and let her know what it was. And then if she said no, she don't want to do, I ain't trying to share you with nobody, fine, here go the divorce papers. Sign these. You just got served. Sign these. And we're gonna go to court. I'm gonna get out of this situation. I'm gonna go find a woman who wants to do the physical part. It's a crazy situation, right? It's a crazy situation. So it's 12:15. Let me drop the link. You guys want to holler at your boy, man? Come on, man. We're gonna make it happen. They go to StreamYard link if you want to jump up here. We're gonna end it as far as now. We're gonna get back to the interview this week. So there's the link. I put 2 in the chat or whatever. My bad. You know, I'm sitting here trying to figure it out. Oh, Joe, if you want to come up, man, definitely come up, man. I want to hear your story for sure. I'm going to pick up On Monday, I'm going to pick up right where we left off. We're at 31 minutes and 53 seconds into the interview. I'm going to pick up there on Monday. We're going to pick that up on Monday. But guys, y'all need to understand something. Like the family law system here in America, bro, they ain't playing. They ain't playing. And ladies, y'all need to pay attention as well. It's not a gender thing. It's not male, female. It's who has and who doesn't have. The American system is going to take from the person who has, and they're going to give it to the person who doesn't have. That's how it works. That's why I tell people all the time, like, man, I ain't trying to get married. If I'm trying to get married in America, you got to have Oprah Winfrey money, bro. You got to have bread. You got to be at least that 10 million range or above that. You got to be north of that. If your net worth is north of $10 million and you're trying to get married to me, let's get it. Let's go. I'll marry you tomorrow. But here's the thing. I'm not trying to take from you. And that's another thing, too. A lot of people talk about the gender thing. As a man, I'm not trying to take anything from you. And people are like, well, you trying to take advantage of her? No. But I don't have to worry about her taking anything from me. More to the point, taking anything from my daughter. Everything I have now is from my child. So anything you take from me, if I lose half of my net worth, that's 50% of my net worth that my daughter's not going to get. I'm not going to take that chance. But if I'm dealing with a woman who's making all that bread, then I'm going to absolutely get married to her. And if it doesn't work out, fine, we can go our separate ways. But if she want to get big, then shit. All right, let's go to court then. I guess I'm getting the summer house. I guess I'm getting the Lamborghini. I guess I'm getting half of your Birkin collection. Old Joe in the building, man. What's good, man? Let me show you some love, man. Don DeMarco to Old Joe.
Don DeMarco.
Hello, sir. How are things this evening?
Not bad at all, bro. Not bad. It's 2:18 in the morning. I've been out doing stuff I guess I shouldn't be doing. So, I'm a little bit tipsy. I've calmed down a little bit, man. How you feeling?
Oh, you know what? When I saw this topic for your stream, I thought good advice. And some of the things that you've been talking about, men in general in this system of ours are lost and at a disadvantage. And so there are some things that I think being right in the middle of it, that I can bring to the table in terms of advice for anybody listening that I think may make a difference. And I think what you're saying, DL, is right on point. So do you mind if I focus on the lawyers specifically?
Please do. Yeah, I want to hear this. Yeah, please do.
Okay. So being in the middle of my scenario right now, I want to be careful how much I say, but I will say in terms of lawyers, your point that your lawyer is important is right on point. Like this guy is going to represent you in the eyes of the law. So I'm going to make a couple statements that I think some people might disagree with, but this is my opinion, having gone through it and having been cost badly by at least one bad lawyer. I think you have to assess what your lawyer's motives are. You mentioned earlier, some lawyers are out there to make money, which a lot of them are. And they also have another motive. They have a motive to win cases, because you have to remember that they are not only representing you, they are also trying to get business down the road. So representing whatever course of action that they've taken as a win is important to them. So in some cases, that may mean not fighting as hard for you as they should. In other words, they may not take a risk on a decision that may go against them. And they may, in fact, advise you to take a deal that you don't necessarily have to take because it's safe for them, not for you. So what I'm saying is...
That's an amazing point, brother, because I didn't think about that until you just mentioned it, because if they have too many losses, no one's going to come spend money with them. They need to win.
That's right. They need a win. They want easy, winnable cases. So if they see your case as a risk, maybe there's a 60% chance you win. They're taking a big chance with their reputation at 60. Why not convince you or pressure you to take a deal behind the scenes with the other attorney, and then it's 100% win for them. They can claim it as a win. Here's another thing I'll say straight up. If your attorney lies to you and you catch him at it, fire him on the spot
That's a fact.
immediately.
That's a fact.
It's tempting. Attorneys are slick. They do this by practice, by profession. If you catch them in a lie, they'll often walk it back. Oh yeah, you know what? Maybe I shouldn't have said that. Maybe they'll do what it takes to keep your business. If you are convinced that your attorney has lied to you, my father had good advice for me when it came to high pressure salesmen. He said, don't take any high pressure deals. You may miss out on one good deal in your life, but you're going to avoid 10 bad ones. If you think your attorney's lying to you, you may miss out on one bad attorney, but you're going to avoid 10 bad ones. Fire that guy right then. And it's been my experience, and I have done so. When you fire an attorney, they will immediately try and get you to walk back your decision. You know, what can we do to talk about this? You know, this is a misunderstanding. No, it's not a misunderstanding. You're talking about my kids and you're talking about all my wealth. This is far too important to be dealing with someone who I don't trust. Get rid of the guy. Final point. If you are presented with a bill by an attorney that seems unreasonable to you or unfair, a lot of people roll over on these things. Almost all attorneys, and I know in Canada, are governed by professional. See, I'll make 2 points. All attorneys in our country, and I'll bet you in the United States, are governed by they're certified by a professional association. They're called to the bar.
Yep. Here in
You
America.
can have discussions with the bar association, with their professional association about their conduct. Now they'll threaten, as I have seen. Well, if you go and you complain about me, I may do this or I may sue you. Very carefully examine your rights to advocate for yourself when it comes to mistreatment by your own attorney. There are people that your attorney does not want to speak to. One of them is his own professional association, his certifying body. Document everything. Take time to think about it if you've been misrepresented, and then have a discussion with that attorney's professional association if you feel it appropriate. There's recourse. Last point, DL. Bills. Almost in all jurisdictions, attorneys' bills can be appealed. So if you have an attorney that has promised you, like you mentioned, somebody 500, 600K deep in bills, and often these things show up after losses in court. If you have concerns about a bill you've received from your attorney, check out the laws in your local jurisdiction. In our jurisdiction, you can appeal legally an attorney's bill, and the law says that the attorney cannot increase their bill as a result of you appealing it. So there's no risk to you going to court and having an independent auditor examine your attorney's bill. And in almost all cases, these bills are reduced because attorneys do not want to go spend that time and fight against you in court. They've got better things to do with their time.
Yep.
Those are my pieces of advice, DL. This stream you're having is fabulous. It's so important to men who feel helpless in court. Thank you, sir, for taking this time.
Well, thank you, brother, for always supporting me, man. Like you said, like you've come on this platform and you've asked me point blank. You're like, hey, man, how come more people aren't watching your shit? Like, man, I don't know, because I watch other stuff that's going on out there. We try to put information out there that's going to help some people, and we're definitely trying to help men, but women. If you're out here making a bunch of money, she could find herself in the same situation. So everything you're saying is applicable to both genders. Bro, I really appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. I don't know how the law works up in Canada, but it sounds like it's kind of similar to the way it is down here. Everything you said is applicable to America as well, man. Thank you so much, brother.
Yes, and bear in mind that your attorney is hired to have your best interests in mind, but oftentimes in the end they have their own best interests in mind. Never forget that. They are looking after themselves, and it's very important that you look after yourself as well.
Yeah, because I like James Sexton, but I guarantee you when he first started his career, he wasn't trying to get losses. He's not trying to go out there and just give money away. He's probably now, he's one of the top dudes in the game. He's probably millions in. He can afford to, hey, man, let me show you what's really going on here. But I guarantee you with his first, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, he wasn't doing the stuff then that he's doing today.
No, and exactly. And if you wind up embroiled in a scenario where you have to make a decision, let's say your attorney comes to you and he says, look, I've had this offer from the opposing counsel. I recommend you accept it. Take your time, and there are resources you can go to. There's absolutely nothing wrong with paying $350 an hour for a one-time consult with an independent attorney who you bounce this off and say, hey, my attorney is recommending this. Do you think I should accept it? $350 is nothing compared to the $500,000 it might cost you if you take a bad deal.
Yep. I probably have $1,500 pages of documents right downstairs right now from my situation. And bro, $350 to have somebody go over that? Yeah, I'll absolutely do that. And they know what they're looking for. They don't need to read every single document. They know what they're looking for. And that's just how it works. It's a game. It's like any other game. You want to find the people who are good at it that can help you make the best decision.
Yes, and they call it a game.
Yep.
Your terminology is absolutely accurate, DL. My attorney and all the other attorneys I've dealt with have called it, to you, it's life and death. It's everything, but to them, it's a game. Never forget that. Hey, DL, I got to get on the run, man. Great show tonight, man. Fabulous topic.
Thank you, brother. We'll see what kind of views we get, man. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. Take care. Be safe up there, brother.
Okay.
Peace. Man, shout out to Ojo, man. Thank you so much. So when you guys watch this stuff, I really believe that this is the next phase of the red pill. I really believe that this is where we're going. This is, if you want the screaming at people and, calling them 304s and all this other kind of stuff, that's fine. You can still find that, whatever podcast ain't going nowhere. Fresh and Fit ain't going nowhere. Access Vegas ain't going nowhere. If you want that, you can get that. But there are guys out here now, men and women today, that are going to give you this content. Like, hey, man, here's the deal. I'm not saying don't get married. I'm not saying don't fall in love. What I'm saying is understand what you're doing before you sign the marriage contract. So this is just the first part of probably a 3-parter. We're 30 minutes into a 2-hour and 50-minute video. This interview with James Sexton. We're gonna come back on Monday. We're gonna continue this on Monday, and I hope you guys can join us. It'll be 5 o'clock Eastern time on Monday. And James Sexton gets into it, bro. He talks about the difference between the Disney fairy tale and what's going on in family law. And bro, that's the eye-opening part. We're just starting to get into it. The eye-opening part, when you see Andrew Schultz and you see, Akash and you see the other guys, they're kind of like, oh shit, they're looking at it. So join us on Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to put the thumbnail out probably tomorrow. We're going to do part 2. And I hope you guys can make it. We're going to just continue to break this down. James Sexton is doing his best to get this message out here. If you're going to get married in America, and probably the same thing in Canada, if you're going to get married, there's nothing wrong with getting a prenup. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. A prenuptial agreement makes sense, especially here in America where 56% of the time marriages fail. They end in divorce. The other, another 22% or so, people stay together. They just don't go through the marriage, but they're not living together. It's loveless. It's gone. It's all over. They just don't want to go through court and pay the money. It is what it is. So you're looking at roughly 20% of the time, marriages succeed. And what James Sexton says, he says, hey man, 100% of marriages end. It's either going to end in divorce or it's going to end in someone dying, but it's going to end. And why wouldn't you have a plan for that? So join us on Monday, guys. We're going to do this Monday, 5 p.m. right here. We're going to do part 2 of this breakdown. James Sexton, Flagrant. I think this is a really good breakdown. Again, shout out to old Joe, man. Thank you so much for sharing, brother. He can only share so much because he's dealing with it right now. I've been through the process. I'm still going through it myself. Man, I'm here to tell you there is a lot of room for improvement. We're going to talk about it more on Monday. So I appreciate you guys rocking out with me. I started out as Lit Saint, but now I'm kind of I'm kind of sober now. What I'm going to do, I'm going to go downstairs when we're done here, and I'm going to warm up some spaghetti. I'm going to eat me a little bit of spaghetti that I made earlier this week. It's pretty tasty. And I'm going to go to bed. And I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna do my day. We have a show at Trillis in Ybor City. If you're in Tampa, come to Trillis tomorrow at 6 p.m. We have Latin night. We have a promoter coming in there. It's gonna be a great time. I'm gonna be there. I'm not gonna be able to stay the whole time, but I'll be there early. If you get there early, if you get there at 6:30, you get to take advantage of the free salsa lessons. So they teach you how to dance. It's gonna be a great time. Check out my Instagram for more details. But pull up if you're in Central Florida, if you're in Tampa, pull up at Trillis at Buckham. We're doing Latin night. It's gonna be amazing. So hopefully I'll see you there. If I don't see you there, I'll see you right here on I Really Want to Know podcast, Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we are going to break down part 2 of the James Sexton interview with Flagrant. I'm DL Saint. This is I Really Want to Know podcast, man. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.
Nothing like I've ever seen. It's just a thing of beauty.
Darn, that's the end.